everybody, welcome to Our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel. I'm Aaron Lehman. This is episode 32 featuring Jetuan Whedon, and I am really excited to be diving in today with Jetuan. But first off, those of you who are brand new to the podcast and or YouTube channel, the vision of Our Healing Voices was to create a space, create a community where unique voices could come forward and talk a little bit about what has worked well in their life, what's working well in their life, what we've overcome together, how we're transforming, and really just provide a space where we learn from others that we're not alone. Sometimes on this wellness world journey, body, mind, spirit, healing journey, I've felt super alone. And so part of my creating this community was, I know I'm not the only one having these conversations. I know I'm not the only one thinking these thoughts, praying these prayers, practicing these meditations or whatever. I know I'm not the only one. Let me find more people that are on that journey with me and around me, and let me learn from them. And so the hope is, one, you listen in today, or you listen to any episode, and you walk away feeling a little bit more encouraged to keep making the shifts you want to make. And also, the goal is to bring voices, not just Aaron's voice week after week or every couple of weeks. I want to bring other voices on because I want us all to realize how powerful our voice, our unique voice is. And so whether that means that you who are listening right now one day might write a book, one day might start your own podcast, one day might have some really deep, intense conversation with somebody that you needed to share something from your voice, right? Just wanting to encourage all of us to know that there are safe people that want to have courageous conversations with us. And so, on that note, thanks for being here. Excited. If you're brand new, thanks for being here. Those of you who've been around for a little while, welcome back. Excited to be on the journey with you. And just know, I'm just excited to be learning. I'm excited to be learning alongside everybody. And some days are fantastic and other days suck. And other days are a mixture of the two. And so we're just going to have fun today. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jetuan and say this. Jetuan and I met here in the last 6-7 years through this oily world community, essential oils world community. And every time I got to interact with her, I felt encouraged and uplifted. And I remember just appreciating your joy was one piece that really stood out to me. And then the other piece was your raw honesty. Like your raw honesty. And those two pieces for me, make me feel calm, because I love it when other people are willing to dive in and be real, and I think that that's something that's really important to you, or I at least observe that. And so I love the joy that you bring and the inspiration you bring, but I also love this honest, raw, real personality. And so thanks for being you. Thanks for being willing to take time today and hang out and share a little bit about yourself. To start, Jetuan, as you think about your life up till now, what are two or three, are there 1, 2, or 3 pivotal moments where you're like, all right, who I am today, who I'm choosing to be today, this thing back then, or this moment, or this experience really shifted me?
Wow. This, I would have to say one of the pivotal moments in my life before I was sitting in my garage. Let's mention this is my garage and not my house, please. I didn't know it's going to be on camera. I don't know how to think about it. Anyway, one of the big things that happened in my life happened when I was really little and I had no control over it. My mom had gotten mixed into just a really, bad crowd when I was probably about 5 to 6. And we were forced to move from New Orleans, Louisiana to Lake Charles, Louisiana. And we lived with a family there. And if it were not for us moving to Lake Charles, Jetuan as who I am today would not exist. Um, I would probably a whole different person, just the things I probably would have been exposed to that I never had to deal with in Lake Charles, and the people who came into our life. One of my mom's really good friends is now like a state senator in Louisiana. And I think another, she went from knowing the mayor to the people in the projects. Like my mom turned her life around, and she just we were mixed, we were poor, but we were always very well connected. Like when I remember when we first moved there, we moved out of the home with the family that had taken us in. um I remember I couldn't even tell time. I didn't even know days of the week, but I knew that Monday we were no longer going to have electricity. And I remember watching television thinking, oh, and they would say, on Monday, watch this episode of this. And, I still didn't know days a week or what day it was, but I knew I wouldn't be able to watch that show on Monday. And the Monday came and went, and the power never went off. And it's just because, um, my mom had, gotten a job, or someone had helped her out or whatever. And these were just people put into our lives along our path that really help carry me forward to today. So that's a big thing there. I would say another big thing that would have, okay, another thing too would be adulthood. In 2009, my husband almost died twice in a year. And the first time was let me think. The first time was a spinal abscess that they kept misdiagnosing. They kept going, oh, it's a muscle spasm, go home. It's a muscle spasm, go home. Finally, a week later, they do the MRI, and they see this huge infection, basically strangling his spinal column and like paralyzing him. So they do emergency surgery. He gets better from that. He comes home a few weeks later with like a PICC line in and all this stuff. He had to, learn to like move his fingers and walk and all this stuff all over again. And I mean, not all over again, but he had to get his strength back up. And so he gets better, goes back to work, and 6 months later, he got H1N1, pneumonia, and flu literally all at once. And he doesn't have a spleen. So he's like, purple in the face with when your platelets go very low, you get this thing called petechial bruising, which is little like purple dots that'll appear usually all over like your legs or arms or whatever. Well, he had the worst version of it called purpura, where basically your face turns the same color as an eggplant. And that appeared in the span of like 5 hours. So he was on life support. He they were about to intubate him, sorry, he was intubated. They were about to trach him. And he, I kept saying, you guys need to, just keep doing the breathing test. You need to do this. You need to do that. And so I think because I was an advocate for him on so many different levels, it prevented things happening. But he got better from that. And he's, picture of health today. But it financially devastated us because around that time that housing bubble hit, and we were suddenly upside down in our house, and we're drowning in medical debt, and we're all this stuff like that, and we ended up having to file bankruptcy and short sale our home, which was like embarrassing. It's like, wow, you can't handle your life, so you have to like be bankrupt and get rid of your home. And there was such a huge sense of shame over that. And but the thing is today, barring actually, other than some card debt we had to put on a credit card that we're going to pay off, from our savings, we're credit card free. We're in a new home. Both of our cars are paid off, and our older child is about to go to college next year on a scholarship. Like, we don't qualify for financial aid or anything, but she's got I want to say most of her college tuition is scholarship. Do her,
Wow.
doing good in school and club and grades and taking all honors classes. So if it were not for my mom screwing up her life and having to leave New Orleans, I wouldn't have been in contact with the people I had met in Lake Charles to help, get me in the right circles and schools and stuff like that, and get a college degree. And then if it were not for my husband getting sick and almost dying, we'd probably be in a house that's upside down in a neighborhood that is less than ideal. Like the neighborhood we're in now is much better. The house is bigger, actually. Um, we got in at a really good price on it. So like, I always use the expression, sometimes you need shit to make the flowers grow. And we had a lot of shit in '09, life is not perfect by any means. Uh, Personally, physically, I've been healthier, like as far as, because like I miss my yoga, I miss my strength class, and then, Corona happened and locked everything down. So like I can feel like my body doesn't feel as happy as it used to. But I already have this timeline. I'm going back. I'm like, I've been waiting because I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. I'm like, no, I'm going back. I need to get in there. I'm tired of living in the fear of, what else or whatever. But that's my path. Anybody else wants to do whatever they want to do, they're more than willing to do it. Go for it. But yeah, if it seriously, there's other things, but honestly, those are two of the biggest things, because especially like with my husband, like honestly, we were living, before he got sick, we were almost paying off for all of our debt, and we were doing pretty well, but we still weren't being like the best stewards of our money, like we were young, we're just kind of, and because we moved into this home, and before that, we follow a budget. I mean, not so good these days, but we do follow a pretty good budget, and we have like savings and investings. And these are things that if anyone says, hey, how did you get debt free? I'm like, come to me. Let's talk. Let's talk. And the first thing I tell people, if they want me to help them, figure out their finances, the first thing I tell them is I give them homework. And if I've told 10 people, I guarantee you I've only had 2 or 3 actually do the homework and come back to me. And the first thing I tell them before they come to me for me to give them advice, which is, I'm not a professional, I just give people advice that what worked for me. Before they sit down or anything with me, I say, go to your banking statement, go to your credit card, and I want you to categorize and tally where every single cent has gone for the past 30 to 60 days, probably at least 60 days. And I said, and once you do that, add up where it's all going, and then come back and we'll talk. And I think the hardest thing some of us have to do is often taking a good look at ourselves and our actions. I think that's why it's so easy to criticize others, because we don't want to look at ourselves, and we don't want to acknowledge what we're actually doing. So anyway, those are my 2 big ones. Literally, huge. Like, where would I be? It's so crazy. It's like that book where it goes, pick this tab to go this way and pick this tab to go this way. It's like,
So the New Orleans to Lake Charles reality, that was like your mom was in a real tough space.
Oh, it was legitimately like, it was legit. I was told it was legitimately like, you leave New Orleans or you're going to get killed.
Wow.
Like, I believe she had like crossed the wrong person, kind of thing.
Yeah, gotcha.
And she wasn't in a gang. She was just, did drugs and did, crap she shouldn't have. And I want to say from a young age, she did a lot of self-raising, just because, like I was figuring this out. So my mom, I'm only 46. And I mean, which sounds old. It feels old some mornings, but I'm only one generation away from segregation. My mom literally was the same age as Ruby Bridges, who was the little girl who desegregated New Orleans. My mother lived in New Orleans at the same time as her. Their families were from the same city in Mississippi.
Wow.
it's crazy. So
Yeah.
like I remember my mom teaching me things um when I was young that I never even thought about that I still do today. Like if you're
Hmm.
in the grocery store, she would always make, and I'm telling you, it's the weirdest things that I didn't even realize these things were taught to me till I was older. And I was like, what? And my mom
Hmm.
would go, she would tell me, always let the white people walk first. So if you're in the grocery store and you're both trying to go somewhere, she told me always let them go in front of you, because if we went in front, it would be seen as like we were being disrespectful to the white people. Like weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my mom would always like smile and be very friendly with everyone. And my mom was 6'1" and very dark skinned black woman.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
yeah, so she's tall. She commanded a lot of space,
Hmm.
and she knew that she could be, intimidating, just
Hmm.
like if you're not smiling, and she would, or just different things like, she told me about like the water fountain thing. And as a
Hmm.
little kid, like I'm like, what are you talking about? I just use whatever water fountain I want, and it never
Hmm.
clicked to me that she actually lived actively in this environment where there
Yeah.
was a separation. Like it never
Yeah.
even clicked. And I don't even know, there's so many little things that she would tell me. And so now I came home from the grocery store the other day, and I live in a neighborhood that's, probably 88%, Caucasian.
Hmm.
And uh because I'm in Arizona, there's a lot of retirees here. And I
Hmm.
came home the other day from the grocery store, and my husband, who's white, I said to him, I said, I don't even know if I'm really this nice or if I'm this just used to disarming nervous white people.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm in the
Yeah.
grocery store and I'm always like, "Oh, hey, I like your hat," and I'm, like, super, like, friendly with everybody, and,
Hmm.
I let them go in front of me. And if I don't let them go in front of me, like, I'll see looks from, specifically older people
Yeah.
looking at me like I've done them wrong, when honestly, I'm just minding my own lane, and I'm where I was, and there's
Totally.
actually there's absolutely no cause for me to abrupt what I'm doing to let them in. But I
Yeah.
do. But I
Yeah.
do. And you
Wow.
could just think I'm
Wow.
just being nice, but I kind of think it's from like my programming. And
Totally.
it never even hit me. Like it literally never hit me till like a month or two ago. And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm this nice. Like I don't even I don't even know. Like, am I just this used to making people feel comfortable? Um,
My. That's
but
some deep work right there. That's some
right?
deep
It's
dialogue
so
going
weird.
on.
It's so weird. I'm giving a discussion at my daughter's school,
Hmm.
kind of along this lines, and
Hmm.
just kind of just explaining maybe the thought process disconnect between people of color and white
Hmm.
people, and
Hmm.
that some white people just may not understand, just may not get, just kind of like basically as an overview, our country was built on white people misunderstanding and not understanding black people. So the subjugation of black bodies was sold and made more palatable in this country by selling the idea that black people were not quite human or that they were savage. So that's one, lie that, white
Hmm.
people, good Christian white people bought. And they didn't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because I think in your heart, you know. You know what I mean? I think in
Hmm.
your heart of heart,
Yeah.
because there were things done to black bodies that you wouldn't even do to an animal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
Um, but they capitalize on the misunderstanding of people. And when you think of it this way, when I walk into a room, 9 times out of 10, I'm in a room where the majority of the people in the room don't look like me, that are not
Yeah.
me. So black people go out into the world and they're constantly surrounded by people that don't look like them. So you either, assimilate, you,
Hmm.
you know, or you wither and dry out because you don't assimilate and you don't fit in or whatever. So a lot of people of color have learned to assimilate. You kind of have to learn what the white people around you think and do and say or whatever, so you
Mhm.
can thrive and so you can make them feel comfortable, so you can fit in, so you can be successful. But
Mhm.
white people have never really had to do that on that scale. Like I have friends who he's white and part white, part Latin. He's
Mhm.
done a lot of like work with minority groups and stuff in DC and da, da, da. So
Mhm.
he's been in those situations where he's like the one non, black person in the group, and but that's very rare. So it's in my opinion, it's much easier for a person of color to understand the white person's understanding and their experience than the other way around, because statistically speaking, white people have never had to do that. And so
Yeah.
my topic at my daughter's school is basically going to talk about how it's okay if you don't understand. Don't
Mhm.
feel nervous. Don't feel it's like don't feel nervous, don't feel guilty, don't feel whatever. Just lean in, have listening ears and an open heart. That's,
Mhm.
kind of the crux of what I'm trying to get to with my discussion is just um you were not meant to feel comfortable around black people. The powers that be that had money didn't want it. I mean, shoot, they had a president of the United States, I want to say it was Truman.
Mhm.
um, he aired a movie called Birth of the Nation, I believe.
Okay.
And one of the most racist movies. What like basically they have like a black guy like trying to ravage this innocent white woman, and there's the KKK in it, and he's saying what a great movie it is. So like this country, the powers that be did not want there to be an understanding. Why would they work so hard to keep black neighborhoods and white neighborhoods? Why would they work hard to keep us so separated and segregated? 3 years
Mhm.
before my husband was born, we legally could not have been married. So like he was born in 1970, but
Jeez.
3 years before he
Yeah.
was born, like it's these are things because they didn't want if all men and women work together, then we'll see we would have a lot easier chance of spotting the bullshit that the powers that be are trying to shove down our throat.
Real talk.
So
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
to create that chaos. You need to create male versus female, woman versus woman, because women have it too. Women are looking
Mhm.
at, oh, look at her, and men are looking like, oh, look at him. If we didn't have those, everyone side eyeing everyone, we would miss, we'd be on to all the stuff coming down the pipes to us.
Oh
So
my.
anyway, I'm
Yeah.
excited to get that little talk. I get into it like a little, a lot more, but
Mhm.
without the cuss words, obviously, since it's high school. But
Right. Really though, I mean, okay, so you've the powers that be. I mean, you using. I read a book called The Powers That Be that kind of might expand to me, and as you're sharing about it, yeah, like we're as long as we can just stay angry with each other and
yep,
like feel this division between us, then the people, the puppeteers almost, right?
yep,
Just
yep. They're
literally
just
are like, okay, we're going to shift this here. We're going to make this line
yep.
go this way now. We're
They
going to
throw
do,
out their little dog whistles, and they.
yeah.
And what's funny is, I I've never been a political party. I've always tried to be very like open to it all.
Yeah.
But what's funny is I always tell people whether they're on the right, the right, left, the middle. I said, don't only look one direction, because if you keep looking over here thinking they're going to screw you over, you're going to get this way. So it's the mental of it is you're walking across the street.
Yeah.
When you walk across the street, do you only look one direction because you think the threat's only going to come this way?
Right.
Because eventually the other direction is going to run you over. So you
Yeah.
better look
Yeah.
both ways. Don't look
Yeah.
just one. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. I just feel, and I always tell people who are like, well, I want to explain to a family member this, or I want to explain this to that, or I want to, when talking about racial issues or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I try to always be very tactful and very gentle with my like explanations and stuff, because not everyone knows everything like I know. And then I always tell them I don't speak for all black people.
Right.
So um don't ever go to someone and be like, well, my Black friend, you need to
Mm-hmm.
also do your own legwork, read a book, read some articles, listen to some podcasts, da, da, da. I said, so I don't speak for all Black people. I just speak for most of the ones I know.
Mm-hmm.
I speak for
Mm-hmm.
myself and most of the Black people I know. But
Yeah.
also when you're speaking to people, be gentle. Be gentle. You're never going to help someone understand if you're making them feel stupid in the process or
Mm-hmm.
making them feel less than in the process. So I always try to like ask them questions to understand where they are, where their understanding is. And also realize that whatever you say is not going to change them that day. What it
Mm-hmm.
will do is plant a seed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't like,
Yeah.
how you really want to like help someone understand, like, like I just want to like get this in your head. And it's
Yes.
it's hardest when it's people who you really love. Let's say if
Mm-hmm.
it's the anonymous idiot, that's easy to like, okay, he's an idiot, whatever, move on.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's
Yeah.
like that, your best friend and you realize, oh my God, why? Why? Or,
Yeah.
someone like that. And I just plant those seeds. Plant the
Yeah.
seeds and
Yeah.
do what you're emotionally capable of handling and then move on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So the last couple of years, I mean, has become, I don't know. I mean, I think we're all looking back on the last couple of years in a lot of different ways, but what an intense time just in general. I mean, continuing with the the puppeteers, and then like
Yep.
the chaos
Yep.
and the division, and online, it feels like, as you were talking about looking at both sides of the road, or you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I spent the first 12 months of like, I think of 2020, I literally was like, all right, I'm going to look at this CNN reality and see what they're saying. And I'm going to look at Fox and see what they're saying, because I just
Hmm.
wanted to see what was being shared. And I honestly, Jetuan, I felt like I was like, they were reporting on two different countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I was like, wait, hold on a second. Wait, and this is what's so confusing. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, how does a normal human like
Yeah.
understand what's actually happening, or what's
And
going on, or
all of
what's
them are
really happening?
biased. And
Right,
all of them are biased. They're all
right,
biased. They're all selling you whatever gets them the highest ratings, whatever
right.
gets the highest heat, whatever is going to, distract you away from what's over here. It's all crap.
Yeah.
I watch
How, how,
I literally get my news from all sources,
yeah,
even international sources, because it's very interesting to see how they talk about us.
yeah.
Um, but for me, I don't know. I don't know. Just um, what's funny is as a child, I always found it easy to have a positive outlook, no matter
Mm-hmm,
what we were going through. Like, um, there were times where I would have anxiety about, like grades or this, but I always, for some reason, I was always really capable of like mustering up like the hope, and
hmm,
I always remember having that youthful, spirit of,
hmm.
recovery and overcoming and hope. And I tell you what, these past couple of years have been tough because it's I realized I had anxiety. I never realized that quite as much. And um it's been tough because it's especially tough when it's people you loved and cared about, or people that said they cared about you, but the second I started speaking out about racial things or my experiences, they would say like things like, well, you're only seeing racism because you're looking for it. or or something like that. And I'm like,
Right,
I was
right.
never looking for it. I never told,
Jeez.
I like,
Yeah.
I started sharing my story, and I never, like, no
Mm-hmm,
joke, I hardly ever talked about racial things in
mm-hmm.
front of white people
Yeah.
because I never wanted them to make them feel uncomfortable, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah.
Um, it goes back to my whole childhood training, let them go
Right.
first. Let them keep them happy, keep them comfortable because you don't wanna upset them.
Totally.
Um, yeah, it's so crazy. I'm in my garage and my neighbors have cameras everywhere and they can hear a lot of what we say and do. And
Mm-hmm.
they hate me for some reason, the people
Okay.
to the west of me. Mind
Yeah.
you, every other house around loves me.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
um, they hate me so much so that they called the police and said I was tormenting their dog. They said I cussed out their 8-year-old. And every house around me has a dog, including us.
Yeah.
And none of them have had issues with me. They had
Mm-hmm.
a 16-second clip of me saying "shut the f up" to the dog.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that they were home, that it wasn't just they were ignoring me and their dog that had been outside in the cold all day. And I said,
Yeah.
if I hear your dog, you hear your dog. And I literally 16 seconds of me
Yeah.
losing it because it'd been barking all day. They ignored the cops when the cops came, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And like just the whole thing. So I had to go to court to clear my name because they got an injunction on me with nothing but lies. They said I was like
Yeah.
cited for disorderly conduct. I was not. Like literally when the cop they called on the same day I called the cops on them, because everything they did was in retaliation because I called the cops on them on their dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they told all these lies, and the cops was like, maybe you guys should get an injunction on each other, which is not that big of a deal. But for me, number one, it's the principle of my name.
Yeah.
I'm not a
Yeah.
bad person.
Right.
And number
Right.
two, if you can tell these lies and get this, what kind of lies would you get to actually get me into more trouble?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to court and I had all these evidence. I had screenshots and I had text messages from neighbors. I had like all the evidence. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
at one point you could see the judge smile at me because I was creaming her so bad. And he's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
even with the mask, you see him kind of like look at me and kind of smile and give this kind of like micro expression where he could tell they were full of it. Like I
Yeah.
caught him in a lie in court. Like literally, I
Yeah.
said, "Well, if he said this and you said this, which one is the truth?" Like
Oh, no
I was,
joke. Wow.
I was,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was, I was objecting to stuff, and the judge goes, he's like, "Mrs. Whedon is right, ma'am. You need to move on." Like it was great. She was losing her mind. She broke every rule. He said things not to do in court. She did literally everything he said. So basically, I won. I won.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and she kept like he's like case closed and she keeps yelling, what about this and what about this and it was crazy. um so what's funny is that whole process
Mm-hmm.
I had to put so much extra thought in, how do I look, because I
Mm-hmm.
know my brown skin is not often treated the same
Mm-hmm.
in courtrooms. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm messaging my lawyer friend and I'm like, what should I wear? He goes, wear black or gray or or this or this. I'm like, how should I wear my hair? Like, did I want my hair to look too ethnic? Do I want that?
Yeah.
Like literally, I had to worry about like clearing my name over lies. Like she said, I cussed out an 8-year-old. Anyone who has ever met me, does that sound like someone I've done? I would
No.
ever do. Like
No.
it's like the stuff they said was so wild. Everyone I told, like I'm crying, and my
Mm-hmm.
neighbors are all like, "She did what?" Like all the neighbors like jaws drop, and they're writing letters to the court. Like everyone was like, "This is not her."
Yeah.
Um, one of my friends is a former police chief and city manager, and I talked to him about it. He goes, I understand that you just want to clear your name, but it's not a big deal. But he goes, I get the principle. He goes, so you go
Mm-hmm.
and you take care of it, da da da. But it
Mm-hmm.
was the principle, it was just
Yeah.
the principle that someone could go to the government entity, the courts, and lie on me
Mm-hmm.
like that. And it sucked that the whole time I did it, I felt that because how I looked, I was automatically assumed guilty.
Right.
She's like 5'2", fair skinned. She's not white. She's like Inuit or something, but fair,
Mm-hmm.
light, straight hair, petite, yada yada. And I'm like 5'10", big black chick. So
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know how I'm gonna be received.
Right. Yeah.
I know that all of this is a lot for some people. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in court like this, like got my glasses on, I got my hair pulled back. I'm dressed like, like goody good girl, and I'm just like, yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. And she never said, yes, sir. She's like interrupting him. She's like, and I'm like, she's basically everything spoke for itself. But
Right. Right.
it's sad that I had to like clear my name, number one. And number two, I had the added burden of worrying about how my black skin was going to make me look. Was it going to make me look guilty just because? So,
Mm-hmm.
why did this
Mm-hmm.
turn into a racial conversation? I didn't mean to go
No, but
there.
well, hey, this is where we're at right now. What, so you were like, what led you into that story was you were saying this last couple of years, like you've always been this, have this positive outlook,
Yeah,
but this last couple of years kind of, and then, which led you to this story about your neighbor. The last
yeah.
couple of years maybe has been, well, I mean, just
It's
maybe
been
more
it's been
emotionally just
well
different
for me
for
for
you.
me
Mm-hmm.
for me the death of George Floyd
Yeah.
um really was difficult. And I want to say because my first child is female and
Mm-hmm.
she looks white. She has freckles, she has curly hair. So if you know, you would know she's black, but she looks
Mm-hmm.
very fair. She looks like she's maybe Italian or something like that. And when I gave birth to a little brown, like an actual brown baby boy 3 years ago, suddenly I realized that he's not going to be short. My mom is 6'1". I'm 5'10". My husband's 6'3". He's not going to be, little. I mean, maybe he would be, but I doubt it. And he's brown. And I thought, at what point,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to cry, but at what point would this little brown baby be
Yeah.
seen as a threat? Now, mind you, George Floyd, from the things that I've read, had a past,
Mm-hmm.
had a past. However, just by the looks of him, should not have condemned him.
Yeah.
Just by his past, like I've seen since then that like his past was behind him and he was still struggling, but he hadn't been doing violent things, and he was even like
Mm-hmm.
trying to go to church and group meetings and stuff like that. So the man was troubled, but he was trying. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many people today are successful, thriving, contributing members of society that had a past, that had a
Yeah.
struggle?
Yeah.
We get
Totally.
like Tim Allen, Barry Gordy, who's the other who's another name I'm thinking of right now? Oh shoot, everybody loves the Iron Man guy whose name is evades me right now.
Yeah, I can't
Downey.
remember.
Downey.
Robert Downey. Robert Downey.
There we
Yeah.
go. So even him, like these people were like, okay, they're done, they're washed up, forget these people. But they keep coming back and they keep doing good. And the thing is George Floyd was never given that chance. And to
Yeah.
actually see a person die in
Yeah.
front of my face broke me, broke
Yeah.
me. And then what?
Yeah.
A few months later, you see Ahmaud Arbery fighting for his life. That video, I'll never forget those two moments the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Never, ever again. And to see the indifference to their struggle and their loss
Yeah.
of life. So what hurt me is when people would see that George Floyd died, that this man was on his neck for entirely too long,
Mm-hmm.
but still have their yeah buts.
Right.
Yeah, but and it's kind of like, at what point do you say this guy is owed his due process?
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's automatically deemed you know guilty, he's
Mm-hmm.
denied all due process. So like, what if you got pulled over and the cop thought you had a gun on you, and you had a past? You
Right.
don't have a gun, but you look like you might have had a past.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so suddenly the way people look, suddenly because this person's scared. Like, I'm not anti-law enforcement by any means. I have a lot of law enforcement friends, present,
Yeah.
retired. Like, I'm anti understanding, lack of understanding. I'm anti,
Mm-hmm.
let's just, give ultimate authority to law enforcement. Remember, we
Right.
gave ultimate authority a couple of churches, like the Catholic Church, and what happened there. You couldn't question these funny situations between priests and children. And then now what happened? You give ultimate. You ever notice we can question every profession but cops? We can talk about teachers aren't doing their job. We can say doctors are horrible. We can blame the wait staff and the cooks and the cashier, the grocery store. We can blame every profession but a cop. Like, what? What? They have your life in their hands just as much as, the doctor,
Yeah.
the lawyer, like everyone can be critiqued, but that's asinine to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I believe that police officers are put in situations where there's a no win. I remember running through this exercise with the police chief and this little class I was in. And I didn't do the exercise, and thankfully I didn't, because it's like thinking about it scary. Like literally, I got butterflies in my gut just remembering seeing it. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, they ran some of our students through this exercise, where there was like a bar fight, a mock bar fight, and they had to like kind of try to diffuse the situation and this and this. And one of the students handled the situation incorrectly, and someone pops up out of the bed of the truck and mock shoots her, just pretends to shoot her in the middle of the thing. And everyone's like, oh, what? Like no one saw it coming, and no one this and this. And because they mishandled the situation, someone died. So like
Right.
often police officers are put in that situation. There's no win. You can knock on the door and you have no idea what's going to open that door to you,
Right.
or someone's having a mental breakdown. They're not trained for that. They shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
They should be, for mental health situations, they should be there to protect the mental health people, not to
Mm-hmm.
actually be a therapist to someone in the field having a break right then in the moment.
Right.
They should have someone who's trained for handling that situation, and the officer is just there just to help keep them safe in the moment. Like if someone has a mental health break in like the hospital, they have people there to handle it, and then they'll call in
Mm-hmm.
security like to stand on the side just to make sure things don't get too carried away. you
Right.
know so that's the situation. Like they're putting them in a bad situation, and it's costing us taxpayers a whole bunch, because cities are getting sued, and cops are getting sued, so then we have to pay more taxes to pay for this and pay for this, and but it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So I don't know. Qualified immunity needs to be gotten rid of. I don't know if you're familiar
Mm-hmm.
with that, but it basically says that if the officer is deemed doing their job lawfully, they can't be sued.
Got it.
Like they're like, well,
Yeah.
he's doing what he's supposed to do lawfully.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it doesn't give enough wiggle room for someone who dies,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Next question.
Right. Yeah, well,
Next question.
yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing, and yeah. So that'll just lead to this next question. What, like, so with all that's you've walked through in your life, um, and whether it's the last 2 years, last 15 years, whatever, like, what's giving you hope? What's giving you hope that things get better? Like, are these like these crappy, is that the outliers? Are they outliers? Like, are we mostly good people that like really want to like get along and love one another, but yet what's getting the airtime is just people that have gone mad? No, you know what I mean? Like people who have just
No, I
like
feel you. No,
breaking
I
the
feel
code
you.
of love,
I
like it's like, I
I
don't know.
I do I do believe that as a population we're mostly good. I really do.
Mhm.
I really really do, and I feel that what happens is people are spoken to in a language that speaks to them on that emotional side, and so that's what leads them. They instead they there's a difference in that loving emotion we're led by, and that irrational emotion we're led by. So let's say
Mhm.
you're in a relationship and you love this person so much. Well, you love them, so you're devoted to them. You think of what will make them happy and what will make you stronger. That a rational love will be like, okay, she's been gone 5 minutes and didn't answer my text message. I'm gonna go drive and find her and see what she's doing. You see what I'm saying? Like there's that love, and there's that crazy love. And people
Yeah.
know how to speak to that crazy love. Well, don't you love this America we have? We're gonna throw out these dog whistles and things like that. And my friends are like, what's a dog whistle? A dog whistle is like describing someone as urban or woke or a thug. Those are basic codes for saying the person is um not white, a bad person,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
it's so crazy. There's like innocent words people will say, and you're like, I saw a sign, a campaign sign, and it said, "Stand up to the mobs," basically talking about protesters.
Right.
So you know what they're saying, but the thing is it's fear-based advertising.
Yep.
So your love for uh whatever your peaceful existence is in your life,
Mm-hmm.
someone speaks to the fear of the disruption of that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened. We're all generally good. It's just who spoke to someone spoke to that irrational side. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you could trust your husband, but he's gone for too long, but that one girl over here is always talking to him too long or something like that. And then you're like, oh, where's he at? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's easily corruptible.
Yeah.
We are so the human brain and heart are so easily hackable. It's not even
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Like all you need
Yeah.
is a good strategist. That's all you need. We are so easily hackable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I personally feel that, like I said, about my life,
Mm-hmm.
you need the poop to make the flowers grow,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
or it's like childbirth. So when you're having the vaginal delivery of a child,
Mm-hmm.
the whole birthing process is actually 2 steps forward and 1 step out. 2 steps forward and 1 step out. So you'll be giving birth to that baby and see a head. And the next thing you know, half of what you saw will go back inside. And you're like,
Uh-huh.
what? What? But you keep pushing. You keep
Yeah.
contracting. You keep
Yeah.
struggling and crying and going through the pain and the aches and whatever of that birth. So right now, we're giving birth to something amazing.
Mm.
We're in the middle of it. We're in the middle of the contractions, the pain, and everything. But something amazing is going to come out of this. I was in Orlando
Mm-hmm.
a month ago. Yeah, almost to the day. And I'm sitting at dinner with people from all over the world. And this lady next to me, across from me, the guy next to me is from Bahamas. There we go, across from me.
Yep.
She started saying something. Let me describe her. And I will tell you, before I describe her, I'll explain my thought process. We all
Yeah.
have bias. I hate saying the word racist, but we all have bias. And our
Mm-hmm.
bias is built by our life experiences, our exposure, blah, blah, blah. So we are a bias. I may be black, but I still have bias against black people, white people, Asian people, everybody, because
Mm-hmm.
that's my thought process. Now, whether or not I act on that or believe that, that's another thing. So I
Yeah.
may, see something and automatically assume this woman was white, thick accent, and talk like this, blonde. She was from the South. She was from South Carolina. And we're sitting there talking about something, and I loved her. I thought she was an amazing person, but I automatically assumed our thought process could not possibly align.
Mm.
And she started talking about something, and there was a person there, and she started talking about how they were something, something. And she goes, oh, like it broke me to tears when she said it. And she goes, he's a white man in America. Like he's got so many problems. He needs to sit down. He wouldn't know a problem. And she just went on about how this white man in America was trying to play the victim. And she goes, he wouldn't know what a victim was if it beat him in the butt. And she was like, blah, blah, blah. He's a white man. He need to learn what a real struggle is. And I was just like, is she Does she? And I just busted out crying. And like, we're at a
Yeah.
table full of people, and it would have been so easy for her to sit there quietly
Mm-hmm.
and not speak to a truth that so
Mm-hmm.
many women in this country understand,
Mm-hmm.
that so many people of color in this country understand. I'm married to a white man, and if he knows he's got it good, he's a good looking white man, tall.
Mm-hmm.
Instantly, there are certain things that are available to him that would not be available to me because I'm female or because
Mm-hmm.
I'm woman. Like, even when I went up to the court for stuff, he would go, "Do you want me to come with you?" Because he knew having a white face with me may have made it look better for me. Like,
Right.
and I never once said that to him. I never even once said, maybe it's because I'm black. Never, it's so crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
so man, I started crying right there. She thought she like hurt my feelings or something. I went, well, you just did there, keep doing it. You went all in with a table full of white people, black people, I don't know. I think there were other people too. I don't remember. Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
Latin, this and this and this. And I said, and you went for it. I said, it's not easy to do those things. And I appreciate that. I said, those are the things that give you hope when you're in the
Mm-hmm.
situation and it's so easy. It's so easy to just sit back and not say anything. And she
Yeah.
did. And she went all
Yeah.
in. She put her foot in it. And I was just like,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, I know who she is and I love it.
Yeah. 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 So that's, yeah, would be a glimpse at hope, and this idea of, like, with childbirth, that we're going through this
Yeah.
contracting and this pushing and this crying, and
Yep.
we're two steps
Yep.
forward but then a step back,
Yep.
and it's like, but
And we'll
you're,
get there. We'll get there. And I
yeah,
think, does it help? Does it help to live in the energy of impending doom,
right.
for always preparing for the worst? Just like, oh, it's gonna, or does it help to live with that little bit of hope?
Right.
Sometimes it's okay to have that blind faith, you know?
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
not always. Hey, hey, question if a question comes up. But, it's good to have that little blind faith. Like, okay, I don't know what the I don't know what the weather's out there. Maybe I should bring a sweater, but I'm going out anyway because,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you the peace of now. That
Mm-hmm.
peace of now helps charge you and gives you the strength for if something explodes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I tell people like that come to me for,
Mm-hmm.
like advice or to talk or to vent or whatever. Just breathe. Like literally just stop and take a breath, man. And I said, and sometimes that breath is so hard to take. I tell myself that, like when I'm finally just stop, I just even if it's just to check in, with yourself, with the time. Like you ever just like go through your day and you're like, I don't even know what I did here. What did I do? Like you just go and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I never even checked in with this day, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so like
Yeah.
I tell people that just check in. And when you're in the middle of it, I want you to remember that you've often been here before,
Mm-hmm.
but you made it through it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because like we've been there so many times where we've had those situations and it's so dark and intimidating. And how are we going to live through this or whatever? And we make it through. We
Mm-hmm.
make it through. And sometimes you got to remind yourself of it to remind yourself what you can go through. But that deep breath, I tell you what, I'm like, if anything will save your life first, is that deep breath. Just
Mm-hmm.
I always tell my 2 year my oh, he's 3 now. I always tell my little one we do like a deep breath, but then we do the and then let it out of our mouth,
Yes.
and then we
Yeah.
do in through the nose, out through the nose. And then sometimes you just gotta let it out, gotta let out whatever's yuck up in there, and you just breathe. Just,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and I think one thing we need to realize in our life is we're always running from the discomfort. So this is why it was easier for me to live a life and never speak my truth of being Black in America,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I don't want the discomfort of making the people around me uncomfortable. Because instantly, when you bring up the subject, they feel like they should feel guilty for not having those experiences. No, you don't have to feel guilty.
Yeah.
Just, I have a friend who's diagnosed with cancer 2 weeks ago. I don't feel guilty when I talk to her,
Right.
not at all. All I feel is the desire to help her and be there for her, make her laugh, let her know that whatever capacity she needs me to be there for her as a friend, I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
like, just I sent her an appropriate message. I said, "Would you like me to come cuddle your breast tonight?" Said I'm
Uh-huh.
looking for that
Uh-huh.
for you. So just
Uh-huh.
just be silly. Just
Yeah.
just you just be there.
Hmm.
We run
That's
from that
so, yeah.
we run
Keep
for that
going.
discomfort. It's so easy to shut it down. It's so easy to shut it down because it's
Hmm.
uncomfortable. But
Hmm.
it's all right to be uncomfortable. It's all right to be sad. It's all right to be angry. It's like I have no idea why beings run from anything less than joy. You know, if it's not joy, we don't want it. We've got
Right.
to always be high. And that is so unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like, for real, like,
Yeah.
how would you know what joy was if you didn't know the opposite? Like, come on
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
like, like
Yeah.
we don't see them running from salt. What does salt do when you add it to some sweets?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It is. It's such a, that's interesting. Yeah, comfort. We want comfort. We want joy, and that's it, right? No, it is. It's such a, yeah. It is
Yep.
interesting how we tend to shy away. I mean, I think about, it made me think of like 15, 20 years ago. My friend lost her mom in a car crash, and I was a shitty friend because I had no idea what to, I didn't know how to show up. Like it was just like, anyway, so I'm still releasing that. I've apologized, but it's like these are these moments where you're like, you have this opportunity to show up for somebody, be present for somebody, and yet the discomfort, it's like, but
Yep.
ah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
But see, you know what? That in itself, we always want to like vilify ourselves if we don't live up to what the ideal of the situation
mm-hmm.
is. Like ideally, we should be the best friend at all times and know the perfect thing to say and da, 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 like the
Yeah,
the thing is sometimes she don't need your I don't know. Like what
right,
you could have or would have provided back then may have been completely counterproductive what she actually needed.
oof,
So it may have been perfect that you stay the fuck away and let her
wow,
deal with it, but without having to deal with your uncertainty of the situation and the da 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 and all that
wow,
stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because
wow,
like
yeah,
when I had my son, I didn't tell anyone he was in the ICU until I knew he was coming home because
yeah,
I just didn't want to deal with the oh, what can I do? Or all the
yeah,
questions. I wanted to be able to focus on the fact that my kid was in ICU. Let's get the
oh,
breast milk going. Let's get everything going. Let's get everything. And sometimes it works out best. You
yeah,
weren't meant to be there.
yeah, okay,
You
wow,
were
that's,
meant you were meant to learn from the situation. And
yeah,
I guarantee you, you're much better for it now. You
mm-hmm.
weren't meant to be that. I'm
Yeah,
com- completely convinced that you were not meant to be there.
wow, wow, that's freaking deep, giving me chills. Think like,
But think about it, like
kicking myself for years, right? I'm like,
right? But like think about it
wow,
this way. Have you ever seen someone cry and then
mm-hmm.
they instantly apologize? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Why the fuck are you crying? Why
right,
the fuck you apologize for it? Cry.
yeah,
Something in your heart said cry. You don't
yeah,
apologize for that. You don't
yeah,
apologize for that. You
yeah,
cry.
yeah,
Why? Do you apologize when you get happy? Oh, my bad. Oh, my bad. Sorry, I didn't mean to get happy. My bad. Like, come on. So
Right.
dumb. So dumb.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Whoever says I'm sorry when they cry, I'm sorry. Whoever you are. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself. Totally talking to myself. But it's so dumb. And I'm like, give yourself permission, man. Just like just I was always a crier. Always a crier. I'm surprised I've made it this far without crying in this. But I think sometimes those things escape and they got to get out, and I also feel that like when you cry because of a loss, I think crying because you lost something or someone is such like it's such a form of deep respect, man. That's not just respect like I think fondly of you. That's literally your heart mirroring the depth of the love and compassion you felt for that person, and it has to get out. Like that's man, that's some good stuff. If somebody's gonna I had a friend and I don't hear from them or whatever, and you're just like, that hurt. That hurt. There was a love there. That was hurt. Or I had a friend who died, and you're just like, that hurt. That's my heart going, what do? You bottle it up? You tell your heart, no, you can't pay you respect? Nah.
Right.
So
yeah.
So Aaron.
Yeah.
When's the last time you cried? When's the last time your heart literally needed to let something out and you actually let it out?
Therapy a few weeks ago in January.
Good.
Yeah, it was like I shared with you, we're living with my mom and dad right now. So we're being very hands-on and intentional with my mom's unhealthy cells, just helping her heal and everything. And landscaper, how you doing?
Who's that?
Can you hear the landscaper? Yeah.
I heard a little bit.
A little faintly. No, so my therapist all of a sudden, somehow she's like, wow, it sounds like you're having to be positive all the time. Because I'm like Mr. Cheerleader, I'm like, I'm my mom's coach. She's calling me her coach. And she's like, how's the little boy Aaron doing inside there? And I literally cried for about 30 minutes, just like allowing the little boy inside of me that's like actually scared that I could lose my mom, actually sad that my mom's hurting and is going through this. Actually like pissed off. No, like all these like real thoughts and feelings that are under there, but with the goal of being energetically this like, all right, mom, you're doing amazing. This is so, and we're dancing together. I'm like in this very coach role, positivity land, but it was great because then afterward I shared with my parents about it and got to cry some more with them, and I told my therapist, I was like, I just want to be able to put my head on my mom's shoulder. I don't want to like make her do, do circuits with her, do exercises with her. Like, I want to just like put my head on her. My little boy, Aaron, just wants to put my head on my mom's shoulder and like tell her I love her, and not have to do anything. So yeah, that's how about you?
Well, I was going to say that's really, I was going to say that's really important that you be authentic with your mom and dad. And like the story I told you about the neighbors in court and stuff, I didn't tell anybody. I told hardly anyone because I felt shameful of the whole situation. Like it just seems trashy, and it's so not me. And then I felt guilty after the fact because I really try to be authentic. I really want to be like an authentic person and put it out there. And then I shared a little bit on it on Facebook, but then I hid the post because I didn't want it to breed like negativity. So it's like I find myself treading this line of like trying to be authentic, but I don't want to like post something and then it turns into like a bash trash post. So it's just like so it's a weird fine line because like a little kid tried to push my kid down the bleachers yesterday, And he
Mm-hmm.
just was playing rough. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, what do you do? Like, like, because I'm not used to this little kid world anymore. And now I'm back in it. He's going to interact
Yeah.
with kids. And so now I'm like,
Right.
I tell him to deal with it. So
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't remember because I cry all the time. I don't, the I want to say, I cried when like I kept trying to go to court to like defend myself, and like
Mm-hmm.
something would pop up. Oh, you can't do it today, or oh, we canceled today because she's sick. Oh, we canceled again, and it felt bad because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want people to feel like I was a bad person. I've spent my whole life trying to look like a good person, a trustworthy person, and help people, and try to
Mm-hmm.
spread joy everywhere, and to
Mm-hmm.
know that there's documents out there somewhere that's saying otherwise, which is like, oh, just ate at me,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
it wasn't it would be one thing if it was just like gossip around the neighborhood, because I can
Mm-hmm.
live with that. Let's move on. But another thing is like it could have gotten me in real trouble if one of those
Mm-hmm.
lies, you know what I mean? It's like I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
get in real trouble. I've never been in trouble in my my life. I've had like
Uh-huh.
two speeding tickets, I think,
Yeah.
Um, but I feel that I don't know. I probably the real tears were probably stuff like when my son was born, and
Mm-hmm.
I felt like guilty because I felt like, oh, you're old and you're having a baby and you're, overweight and stuff like that. And meanwhile, I worked out the entire pregnancy and I ate right,
Mm-hmm.
and like actually lost weight, and I did everything I could. And then what's funny is I have a cousin who's the epitome of health and fitness, and she had the same problem when she went delivery. So it's like all of these could have happened. All of these things could have happened no matter what I was, my age, my this or that. And then my son's
Mm-hmm.
healthy. He was born at 4 pounds, and the kid's like picture of health. He's tall and super smart and using words that like I really don't think he should have the grasp of at that age. I'm like, I can't remember what he said, but it was like an old person word. He goes, well, like in consideration or something. Like I'm like, what? Like who are you? Like I don't remember what it was, but it was, so everything's good there.
Mm-hmm.
I think with my life, as I get older, I found so much contentment and like number one, worrying less what people think of me and worrying more about what I think of myself and what I can do like for myself to enjoy myself more and this and this. And like I was talking about, getting back into the gym. And even when I was in the gym 6 days a week, I was very skinny, but I felt better. So for me, I like the way I look smaller, but for me right now, it's about like feeling more youthful and
Mm-hmm.
feeling that joy. And plus I love a challenge, and at home, I can't challenge myself like I do at the gym, like I get in that group and I feel that whole vibe and the energy and like when you're in yoga and like next thing you know, this chick starts crying for no reason in yoga and you're like, oh man, you're like, oh, that's some good stuff over there after class. You're like, man, like I want to cry in class today. And it's not like cry, it's hurt. It's because you release something. Like she's like got a good deep hip stretch and the girl just sitting on the floor crying. I was jealous. I was jealous as all get out. I was like, man, good for you, girl. You got a good one today. But like, I miss that kind of stuff, like
Oh,
I
so
miss
good.
stuff. But
That's
um,
so good.
I
You
think
go
those
to
was
you go to yoga church. What do you got going on over there?
right.
You
I don't know.
know, isn't
Dude,
it?
I couldn't
It's so
tell you where
cool.
this building was. I couldn't even tell you where this building was. It was like some obscure building in downtown Phoenix that looked like it was old as all get out. And I feel like I
Yeah.
had to go through an art studio to find, like, it was so random. And, and
Mm.
it was that was one of the best yoga classes I ever went to. And this one, I want to say the very best class I went to was in Houston. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
hot yoga. And this is me in yoga. This is me in life. I
Yeah.
like you, but I don't like you too close to me.
Okay.
Don't get too close.
Yeah.
So you show up to this class, and usually I go to classes, everyone got their space, you got your arms out, I got my little bottle here, and I got this. No, 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 no. We were this fucking close to each other. It
Snugged
was
up.
it was so hot. He played modern music. It was a guy that I knew growing up, and he goes, when you get in here today, I want to set your intentions for whatever, da da da. And he goes, we gonna feel some stuff today. He goes, if you feel like singing, sing. Feel like dancing, dance. And I'm just like, no, y'all don't. Y'all better just stay on your mat. Like in my head, I'm all rigid about it. Like we're gonna get spiritual, and this is the way I get spiritual in yoga, dude. I've never taken off clothes in yoga. I'm always like, got this is this. Dude, I took my outer shirt off, and all I had was like my sports bra, and that, like, I was like pouring sweat. Next thing you know, like, this dude's butt's in my face, my butt's in her face. We're stretching out to each other. We're singing. I don't even know the words. And we're just like, blah, blah, blah. We're shaking our hips. It was the best class I ever had. And I walked in like, nope. My whole was nope. And
Yeah.
I just dove it. And it was so, dude, it was so good. I was like high.
Wow.
I was high. I was straight up.
Yeah.
I was like, woo! So good.
Yes. Yes. Oh, Jetuan, that sounds freaking glorious. That sounds glorious.
Hey, what's your favorite yoga experience?
Um, hmm. I actually just, oh my, what would be my favorite yoga experience? I haven't done a lot lately, to be real honest with you. My yoga practice has been pretty weak the last
Yeah,
3 to 4 years. And I'm like, yeah, I literally just texted a photo yesterday of Sarah and I doing a little acro. And I was like, let's get back into this. Like, we need to do this again. Why are we not doing this? My body needs more stretching. I know it does. Like, you can't just, I'm running, I'm doing all these other things, but I know the flexibility piece is needing support. So, no, I'm envious of that, of those yoga experiences you
I
just
know.
described.
I can't wait to get back into it.
Yeah. I guess the one that just popped in mind, I think I went to like Yoga Pura down somewhere in Phoenix there, 7th Street and Cactus or whatever. And yeah, I just remember I actually really enjoy when a yoga teacher is like dropping you into the moment, like bringing you back, like kind of giving you reminders. Like, I actually love that. I know a lot of people just prefer the yoga teacher to just be more like guiding you through the poses and stuff, but I really like somebody and whoever was teaching that day was just like, where are you? You can come back. You can come back, because all of it, like, we're all human. Our minds roll and run in all different places. And he would just be like, hey, I see you. Your thoughts are going somewhere else. Come back to your body. Come back to your mat. And I just love that, because I think that it's what you were working on earlier, just about the presence. How do we, even what yoga is not comfortable. There's some poses that are not comfortable, like sweating, hot yoga, not comfortable. But like, if we're willing to come into that presence, I think, and you were describing like going through a day and you're like, what just happened? Did that day just happen? And you're like, come back to your breath. I mean, I feel like those are such huge pieces. And oftentimes I find that I have to listen to music that brings me into the moment. Like literally all day, like most of the music I'm listening to is like, you are one with the earth. You are one with the earth. You know what I mean? I'm literally, because I need to be earthed out, because my brain's freaking amped. It's an amp.
I love it. I was reading a book about consciousness, and so instead of the music, I do it to myself, and I just start like making up songs like you're upset because you got to wash dishes, like I gotta wash dishes. So instead of being like, I have to wash dishes, I'd be like, I'm so glad that I have a house and I get to wash dishes and I love my family. And you're just like making up anything else to like just number one,
Yeah.
distract yourself from the chore. And number
Yeah.
two, be more, positive about it and whatever. Oh, I got a dog and a husband,
Totally. Well, hey,
but
how about a final question? This
okay,
has
what's the
been
final?
this
Hold on a
has been
second.
amazing, Jetuan. I'm so thankful, super thankful, and just appreciate you sharing your voice and bringing the real, bringing the joy. Um, yeah, I'm really really grateful.
Yeah, this
I
has
don't
been
know.
fun.
I don't know if you remember, but 4 years ago, Sarah and I were going through some stuff. We were going through some tough stuff, and you sent a letter to Sarah out here in Arizona or out here in California. And long story short, I just remember it, like, your letter really like touched her deeply. So anyway, I'm just remembering, like, yeah, you just know that your energy and how you show up is transforming people's lives. Literally, just, whether I know you're having this dialogue about whether is this real joy, what is like,
Yeah, yeah.
am I, what is going on? Well, whatever it is, like, it's beautiful, and it's really like lovely to be around. You're lovely to be around. Your
Thank
authenticity,
you.
your realness, and also your
See,
lightness and your humor is
see,
wonderful.
I always feel that way about you and Sarah. Like, no joke, when I see you guys and I'm around you guys, like, I'll be like da 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 da,
Mhm.
and then I'm like, man, like they just want me. They just make me feel like I want to be like a better person. Like I just like I always feel oh, I just want to be like just better, and I just, but it's not to the point where like I feel like I'm bad because I'm not
Yeah,
as good as you know what I mean? I just feel like, man, like they just like inspire me, like it's like a work off each other energy kind of thing,
yeah. Well, I'm feeling
no.
I'm feeling the same way about you. So
Yeah,
that's always lovely when you get the mutual flow going.
right, that's cool. I
Yeah,
appreciate you saying that because I always feel
yeah.
like I'm like, God, they, because I feel like y'all were always like the cool cats. And I wanted to be like it's cool, like I'm like, man, they and Sarah, whoo, can the girl dress, man? I'm like, man, I need to
You
like,
following her TikTok yet? You on her TikTok? You
I'm
got to
not on
start following
TikTok.
her.
I'm
You're not okay.
old. I'm
Well,
not on TikTok.
maybe not a rabbit hole to go down.
I
Maybe not a
know I'm
rabbit
a
hole to go
old,
down.
I'm an old lady. I'm like,
But
don't give me ideas.
I'll have to send you a TikTok of Sarah's just to make you smile.
Okay, awesome. I love it.
All right. So final question. You have dropped lots of powerful wisdom throughout today's conversation. Thank you. And if you had a room full of 20,000 of people sitting in the building, and they, maybe they've been here the whole time, or maybe you get this final few minutes with them, like maybe you're closing out a big long weekend convention or something like that, and you want to just leave people with a couple, two or three, like, wisdom pieces, nuggets that you want people to walk away with. You want people to chew on. You want people to look in the mirror and either embrace or think about or talk to their therapist about what, you know what I mean? Like, what are a couple pieces that you would want to leave people with?
Hey, I'm
Yeah,
I'm looking. Hold on. It's funny you ask because I'm looking at my
yeah,
phone
yeah,
because I was in a video for some balloon stuff at convention,
yeah.
and I was making some notes about something I want to share.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, this is not even a note. This is not even a note from what I wanted to share at this thing, but
Yeah,
this is so good. This goes along with what we were saying earlier.
yeah,
We're always doing instead of being present. I'm like, this is literally from like November.
mm-hmm.
What if success was measured by the level of joy you have in your heart that you shared with others.
Mm.
So like what if your success was like how much of this joyful heart you just gave to others, just handing out the joy. Like what if that was our
Mhm.
measure of success? Dang, that's some good stuff. I don't know where my head was on November of last year, but that was good. That's not even the one I was
Mhm.
looking for. Things that I wanted to share at the thing the other day was just talking about that I would want to share with people is um talking about like trying to understand others more, because I think
Mhm.
that would really help us work more towards a more collaborative society if we just try to go, I want to understand you. Tell me
Yeah.
more. I want to understand you. Let's dig into this, instead
Mm.
of like I want to do what makes me more comfortable, what makes my life the same and more comfortable, and does it make me stretch and grow.
Mhm.
Says I want to say do something that scares you. So
Mhm.
that could be something as like going up to someone who doesn't look like you or doesn't live like you and just going, wow, really love your energy. Can we chat for a second? Another thing I try to
Mhm.
do lately is stop complimenting people on basically shit they had nothing to do with, like looks or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
even outfits. Like I try not to compliment people so much on those things. I try to notice someone's energy, and I'm like,
Mhm.
ooh, you you will notice if you compliment someone on their dress or their looks, they will thank you, but they'll still seem a little more insecure than if you
Mhm.
compliment someone on their energy. Man, your energy is lit today. Your energy is
Mm.
amazing today. And you will
Mhm.
see that there's a total difference on how they receive that as opposed to like, I like that dress.
Yeah.
Because you feel assessed, you feel externally assessed. If you
Mhm.
compliment someone on their energy, then they feel seen. They feel
Whoosh.
wholly seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, surround yourself with people that inspire you.
Mhm.
Um and like like basically I would talk about, okay, let's go. First, I would talk about probably self love and self acceptance,
Mhm.
because that's most important, because you can't really help anybody else if you're drowning inside. You
Mhm.
can, but that's not sustainable.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
when that's what happens when they're like, oh, I didn't know, because people are so busy, like, help, 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 so sustain yourself, love
Mhm.
yourself where you are. Don't be afraid of look at yourself, even at the stuff that is not so comfortable, because it's okay to look there. It's okay to love there too. You know,
Mm.
um, if you don't love yourself wholly and fully as you are, you'll never I fully believe this. I haven't even thought this statement out, but I fully believe that you'll never be able to fully love yourself and love others if you don't love every single aspect of yourself. Like you can't possibly be fully authentic if there's all these little nicks and picking at yourself that you're doing, like
Mhm. Mhm.
you can't.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um what else? So once you're working on, and the thing is you'll never be there. You'll never
Right.
be there. You know what I mean? But let's say you look in the mirror and you're like right now, I don't like this. I don't like that. Don't like it at all. However, my skin looks good today.
Mm.
I'm feeling my skin today. I'm like
Mhm.
checking out the hair,
Mhm.
love it. Love it.
Mhm.
Love it where
Mhm.
it is. And then
Yeah.
move on. So then you can start to reach out and give people more, and I think in turn creating that joy by sharing joy just keeps multiplying upon itself. you know
Totally.
put out what you want to get back. the
Mhm.
the whole premise of karma itself, it's everybody sees karma as like karma's gonna get you, and karma's like, I didn't even do anything to that guy. Like why are you blaming me?
Mhm.
I didn't do anything. But karma is about
Yeah.
getting back what you put out. So what are you putting out there? Put more good
Yeah.
stuff out there. um if someone says ouch, that hurt, you said this and it hurt me. You did this and it hurt me. You shared a post and it hurt me. You didn't listen and it hurt me. Listen to them.
Mm.
How can I fix this?
Mm-hmm.
How can I better understand the situation?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of digging into what you feel is right and what works for you and da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
never an apology it's never an apology if you say, I'm sorry if you thought what I did hurt your feelings.
Nice.
It's never an
Yeah.
apology.
Right.
It's never an apology because there's no if. That person is hurt, whether you see they were hurt or not. So that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing to do is self-acceptance, self-caring, but also remembering once work on yourself, to also remember work on that connection and building that whole collaborative society around us, because we'll never be strong if we're not at least working towards it. And the thing is, we'll never be there, but the thing
Mm-hmm.
is we should always be working towards there. You'll never
Mm-hmm.
be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most people, that if they've ever gotten to where there was, you hear stories of how unhappy they were and unfulfilled or whatever, because they got there and they're like, well, now what? Because you're never there. Keep going.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it would be stuff like that, like love yourself, love your friends, challenge yourself, listening to others, taking that deep breath, even if it's, what's funny is, think about it this way. Part of that self-love, self-acceptance, building collaboration with friends, even if that deep breath is just taking a deep breath of your friend, of your spouse, of your children. You just pat the kid and move on or whatever. But like I literally will just grab my daughter, who's 17 years old and taller than me now. I'm 5'10", like she's taller than me. And I just grab her and I just hold her.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally just smell her hair. I smell her little body and I feel her little bones. And then I'm like, well, she's got boobs now. What did this come from? But I just hold her.
Yeah.
And we have moments like that all the time. And then I do it with the little one. I just hold her. I do it with my husband and just hold. And what's funny is, it's almost like when you do it, you are so busy doing, when you actually sit there and take a breath and soak in and breathe in the family and the people and those around you. You're like, oh God, I missed you. You're like, oh wow, I didn't realize this, So I think that's very important. So breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe. Breathe
Wow.
that air, breathe that love, breathe that family.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man. That's good.
Jetuan. Oh, that's so good.
Somebody right now. I'm not even a hugger. Like, I hug my family, but I'm not a hugger with everyone. It's, me. I'm an energy person, so it's easier for me to say I'm not a hugger, because I don't want everyone to hug me.
Yeah.
I hugged someone last night, and I had to tell her before I went, and I said, I want you to know I'm not a hugger, but I know that you're going through something right now, and I feel like you need this. And I hugged her and I rubbed her back, and I said, please take a deep breath with me. I said, just take a deep breath and just remember, you've been through it and you'll be through it and you'll be okay. And then I made her a balloon rose, and I handed it to her. But
wow.
is that the tone today? Breathe.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you dropped so much goodness. You dropped so much goodness today. I'm so thankful.
Okay, say
really
goodbye.
Appreciate you.
There.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. All right, so those of you who joined us, episode 32 with Jetuan Whedon, Our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel. Thanks for being here. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube or the podcast, we'd love for you to do that. And just know you're not alone. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I feel alone. I'm sure we all have these moments, right? And yet there are a lot of us diving in daily, like yourself, going through our own unique stuff, our unique path, and just know that we're cheering you on. So thanks for being here, Jetuan. I love you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and sharing. And have a beautiful day, y'all.